My colleagues, I'm glad to be back. I have a very brief statement that I would like to read, and then I shall be very glad to respond to questions. I have now completed the first leg of a more extended trip which President Johnson asked me to make to Asian capitals. The first leg has taken me to 5 countries: Japan, Korea, the Republic of China and Taiwan, South Vietnam, and the Philippines. In each country, I had the opportunity for friendly and candid exchanges of views with chiefs of state, the foreign ministers, and other leading officials and personalities, as well as for discussions with representatives of our own government stationed in these countries. I intend, of course, to report to the President in detail on the discussions I have held, as well as some of my own observations and impressions. At this time, all that is appropriate are some very general observations. As I have sought to make clear from the very outset, this trip has not been undertaken as a mission related to any new proposals or initiatives for peace in Vietnam. I say this regrettably. Given the intense interest in Vietnam through Asia, as well as my own vital concern as the U.S. representative to the UN with the prospects for a possible and peaceful settlement, it was quite natural that the situation in Vietnam was one of the principal topics discussed in the 5 countries I visited. While I would not pretend to speak for any other government than my own, I can report to you that I found in all these countries understanding of 3 facets of our policy. The limited nature of our objective, that the people of South Vietnam must be left alone to determine their own political destiny under conditions of freedom and without any external interference. Our resolve to help them achieve this objective and abide by commitments we have undertaken, and our equally strong resolve to keep the door open and to preserve in achieving a full and honorable peace through unconditional negotiations. While in Vietnam, I had the opportunity to discuss at length with the leaders of the government and the members of the Constituent Assembly the vitally important process of establishing a constitutional government. I was encouraged to learn of the progress already made toward completing a constitution and to find a common determination on the part of both the government and the Constituent Assembly to consummate the creation of a constitutional government and proceed with national elections at an early date. And our government places the highest premium on this. And I can say to you that the word I had in Saigon would look towards the consummation of this process perhaps within the next 10 days. I also had an opportunity for wide-ranging discussions about 2 other processes which have a vital and direct bearing to the prospects for peace: the economic and social programs now underway and the process of national reconciliation in South Vietnam, as described in the Manila communique. While I learned much of the progress already achieved in all these areas in this limited period, as well as in the military situation, I do not minimize the obstacles and difficulties ahead. Indeed, one of the strongest impressions I bring back is a sense of realistic appraisal of the problems which still have to be overcome to heal the wounds of that tragic conflict and to achieve social and economic justice for the people of South Vietnam. In Asian countries I visited, I was particularly impressed by the interest shown in regional development, or in other words, collective Asian efforts, by their growing conviction that if each country in the area can concert its skills and energies with the other, they can all make better use of assistance from non-Asian sources, use their own skills and resources to better advantage, and make more progress in resolving many problems they face in common. This is a most welcome development and should be encouraged and supported. I shall begin tomorrow with testimony before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to fulfill my responsibilities in connection with the Outer Space Treaty. There are, in addition, other UN matters of immediate concern that will require my closest attention. As a result, I do not know when it will be possible for me to continue the trip to other capitals in Asia which the President asked me to visit. I hope I shall not be too long delayed, and that the second leg of my Asian tour will be as fruitful as that I have just completed. Now, this is my statement, and I shall be glad to answer questions. John?
Yesterday, Hu France came back and gave us the feeling that the war was going to be prolonged and bloody. Did you come back with the same impression?
Well, John, I'm neither an optimist or a pessimist. We have a difficult conflict, as I said in my statement. And we never know when the ultimate outcome will be. But the important thing for our own country is a very simple principle, and that is to reassert that the door is open for a peace. It must be an honorable and just peace. It must be a peace between the parties. No one can make peace unilaterally. And I do not come in dismayed by what I saw. I do not come in optimistic about what I saw. I come in with resolve that the world needs an end to this tragic conflict. And for that end, we need the cooperation of everybody concerned. The simple formula, and that is that all violence ought to stop, which means de-escalation on all sides. A war cannot stop by one party taking an action which is not reciprocated. This will mean that only part of the war will be over. What I would look for personally is a mutual de-escalation, so that the fighting, the violence, the tragedy, the conflict can be over with. That's the only way we can assure peace in the country. Well, I don't comment on senatorial statements except before the Senate, where I will appear tomorrow. That the best way to stop the war is to engage in private dialogue which would lead to an understanding of each other's peace terms, and then I think the procedures by which we could come to this end could be arranged.